Hello, BookTube. Well, it's been so long. Here we are in a live stream again. Me and the Bean and you. She once again hopped up onto her seat to survey the street and then grew bored and tired and just fell asleep there. Uh, I haven't done a live stream in quite some time. I usually start with a throat clearing of some kind or other before we throw it over to the chat. In this case, the chat serving as call in listeners to an old time late night call in radio show where any subject is fair game. I don't have much in the way of throat clearing to do at the beginning of our chit chat. This can't be a long Steve stream because I am, as the person who egged me on to do this live stream correctly pointed out, I am under deadline. The main throat clearing that I want to do involves a change in channel policy that was soft enacted just this week, the week that's ending. For half a year or more, I was in high dudgeon about mailing books out to all of you, and gradually I was talked down from that position just recently, with people pointing out that don't you yourself enjoy it, which is true, I do. And also another person pointing out, if one or two people, think about all the books you've mailed out, if one or two people get their address wrong, even when you have questioned them to make sure they've got it right, why don't you just keep a list? Keep a list of who you're mailing books out to. You should be doing that anyway. Keep a list of who you're mailing books out to, and if somebody gets their address wrong after assuring you that they had it right, cross them out. Don't send anything to them again. That's not going to cross out everybody. And this is entirely true. This is entirely true. These are the kinds of reactions that I should have had last year instead of flying into a rage. So now that I am sending out books again, when I went to the post office, I had my clerk gave me a big bag of those padded envelopes that I love so much. So easy to use. Perfect for a book. Now that I'm doing that, I thought we'd go over the basic rules for this. I used to repeat them all the time on this channel, and I stopped mailing things. But now that I'm back to it, we can do 3 basic rules. Rule number 1, of course, is that you know your correct mailing address. And that even though you know that I've had problems with that, you still give me an incorrect mailing address, and I write back a week later and say the package was returned to me as undeliverable, I have wasted my time and money. Kindly don't respond to that with anything other than, oh, gee, I'm very sorry. Definitely don't respond to that with, well, yeah, I did leave something out here. Try again. Don't do that. So rule number 1 would be make sure you know your own mailing address, which a large number of people do not. A large number of people leave out something that is so crucial that the U.S. postal system can't deliver the package without it. So number 1, make sure that you know your mailing address. Rule number 2 would be that you have to want the book, which again, you would think would be self-evident, but in the past, I've had people that definitely proved it isn't. You should want the book. So if you write to me trying to impress me with how Captain Casual you are, I might take a look at it. I might be interested in it. That's an interview. I might pick it up. Okay. First of all, you shouldn't do that. Don't email me like that. Just don't email me at all. I'm not asking you. I'm not begging you to mail books to you. It takes a detour out of my usual path. My usual path being from the little book room to the fainting couch and back, and it takes money. It takes effort and money to do. So I don't want to deal with Captain Casual. I don't want you saying, yeah, I might pick it up. I might look at it. You've got to want the book. And rule number 3 would be that if I send you a new release or a forthcoming book, you should give some thought to reviewing it. If you've never done a formal book review before, I will help you. But you should give some thought to reviewing it, not only because I think you would enjoy the process, but also so that I can tell the publicist that I have sent the book out to a potential freelancer, to a potential reviewer. That always helps. So those 3 things: you have to know your mailing address, you have to want the book, and if it's a new release, I might want you to think about writing a review of it. Plenty of people who watch BookTube and who are on BookTube have written reviews for Open Letters Review and enjoyed the process. So there you go. That is a throat clearing. one of two. The first throat clearing is mail. I am mailing books out again. I've got my mailing station back up and running. So when we get doubles on this channel, or if you happen to see something in a video that new or old that you really, really want, let me know. Leave a comment or send me an email. And keep in mind, the really, really want, it has to be genuine. And also keep in mind that although I am very, very old, I am not dim. If your I really want this isn't genuine, I'm going to know it in literally a nanosecond. If you're just one of these freaks that prowls the internet looking for anything free, and no, I don't care what it is, it's just that it's free, I'm going to see that in a minute, and nothing's going to come of it for you. So that would be rule throat clearing number one. Know where you live, want the book, and consider reviewing it. And then throat clearing number two, of course, is this big story, the big story that's all over social media and the news, which is this monstrous heat wave coming to the lower 48 of the United States. It's feels a little bit weird, a little bit tone deaf to talk about it, considering what Europe is going through. Europe is going through a heat wave far worse than the one that is coming to the United States. And has been going through it already and is going to be going through it longer. But even so, this is not a zero-sum game when it comes to danger and suffering, right? It's going to be roastingly hot for most of the United States, starting more or less Tuesday and going into the weekend, maybe even later than that. I keep looking at the latest forecast. It looks to me like Boston is going to be spared. Most of it. We're going to have a hot day or two. I think it's going to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for Boston, where Thursday will be 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And, Wednesday will be in the high 90s, basically 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And so will Friday be 100 degrees, basically, thereabouts, off by a degree or two, so that you can't feel it, so that it's dangerously hot during the day and uncomfortably hot at night, where the heat at night doesn't go below 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, unless you're me, unless you're only a handful of people that I know, you're not going to be comfortable in weather like that. So everybody's bracing for that. Texas is already pretty hot, and Texas is going to be hotter, and a couple of places are too, but everybody's bracing for it. There are public service announcements everywhere. I'll probably make a separate one for my channel about just common sense precautions when you're dealing with weather like this. It doesn't matter whether it's in Europe or Doha or the United States. It doesn't matter. Common sense precautions are the same. Try your hardest to take it easy. Definitely no physical activity unless you are in peak physical condition. Definitely not the time to be moving. That's why it really bothers me that this is across the horizon of 1 month changing to another, because in the United States, usually the first of the month is a move-in date. So I think a lot of people are going to be moving on the 1st of July in what is going to be absolutely monstrous heat and humidity. I worry about that, but also check on, vulnerable people, the elderly. You don't have to check on me. I have somebody that checks on me, but you check on the elderly, check on the infirm, and anything like that. Stay in the shade, stay cool in fans or air conditioning, stay hydrated. Very, very important. You drastically increase the chances of anything going wrong if you're unhydrated, dehydrated, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure you're seeing it in the news wherever you live in the lower 48. I'm sure you're getting warnings about this. Even Boston has an intense heat warning when compared to the rest of the country, we're barely going to be hit at all. So that's the other bit of throat clearing. And now we can throw it over to the listeners calling in from all the states in the Union and all the ships at sea. So be sure to sound off your location, where you're from. Reminds me, I used to have a late night call-in radio show in Iowa a long, long time ago. For a little while, I did. An acquaintance of mine said, "You're up anyway. Why not? Midnight to 4. You're up anyway." So this will be fun, I hope, because we can't go on forever. So let's see who's first. Clarence Beeks is first. Uh, R.F. Forster's Modern Ireland, 1600 1972, isn't blowing up skirt. Have you further history of Ireland recommendations? Oh my God. Okay. Comment number one, right out of the starting gate, is obnoxious. Yeah, my recommendation is Modern Ireland by R.F. from Foster. I'm not. Thanks for the skirt update, but the tone of the right out of the starting gate, the tone of the question. Yeah, you recommended this as the best possible book on the subject. Not doing anything for me. What else you got? Thanks anyway. California is next. Hooray, a Stevestream. Well, that's better than telling me that a recommendation of mine isn't blowing your skirt up. What else you got? Impress me, kid. We're not far off from a have you read question, are we? Andrew McDonald says, I'm going to see the documentary about Robert Christgau today. It's called The Last Critic. You might have some reservations about that title. I do have reservations about that title. But what do you mean going to see? You could get smallpox, for Pete's sake. Why not watch it on your technology? You're surrounded by technology. Kay Napolo says, Steve, I know you do not approve, but I spent 4 hours floating in the Gulf of Mexico at Fort DeSoto, Florida. I'm reading the Iliad, Emily Wilson's translation, and loving it. Such a powerful work. You ran the risk of being bitten in half while you were reading Emily Wilson's translation. No, I don't approve. Of course, I don't approve. I guarantee you have access to a swimming pool. It is insane for you to be floating in the water in the Gulf of Mexico. That is insane behavior. If you walk down the street in Manhattan and you looked up, and on the 52nd floor of a building there was somebody strolling along the balustrade of the balcony, and you rushed up there and said, what on earth are you doing? And they said, I know you don't approve, but I'm having it. The air up here is wonderful. It's just insane behavior. As you will agree if you survive. That's the thing. I went through this with surfers that I knew when I lived in Southern California. I went through it with surfers where they would say, yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad. I would say to them, you'll be dead if it's not that bad. Your whole life will be changed. Even if you're not dead, you'll be an amputee. Your whole life will be different. Anyway, Kay Napolos back to see if he can annoy me. Oh my God, the chat jumped already. We're just like 3 comments in. I see a beautiful looking Fagles of Odysseus coming out in Penguin Classic. Have you received it yet? You don't watch all my videos? You're supposed to watch all my videos. You're supposed to skimp on other booktubers to watch all my videos. Yes, I got the Penguin Classic hardcover of the Fagles Odyssey. Yes. That reading guy says, if I repeat deadline 3 times while looking to a mirror, as Stevestream conjured up in my subscription feed, don't gloat, you. What can I say? I like the idea. John O'Connell says, good evening all. Yeah, it's not all. It's just me. It's just me. They're all losers. It's just me. Play Misty for me. Okay, don't know what that means. Ryan Lisbon says, hey, Steve, long-time listener, long-time commentator. Yes, tell me where you're from. Call in. Tell me you like the show. The USA Trilogy is living up to the hype. Incredible stuff. Thanks for pushing Dos Passos. The USA Trilogy lives up to the hype. It does. It's downright strange. I still don't understand it. Not all of it, but it lives up to the hype. One thing, a surefire yardstick. I would like to say that I am a surefire yardstick when it comes to being the last critic. I would like to say that I am, but a surefire yardstick is if I agree with some other very experienced, very opinionated critic on the same book, and Sam Sachs of the Wall Street Journal and I agree on the USA Trilogy, so you know that gets the thumbs up. It's not every book in the world that we agree on. Leo Percara says, hello, Steve. Is the Supergirl movie really that bad? None of the chuds like it. Well, that ought to be the answer to your question right there. No, it's wonderful. The chuds don't like it because it stars a woman. They hate women. Also, let's be honest, they hate everything. Their channels are built on hating everything. They no sooner get an announcement of some new thing before they even know who's attached to it, and they start sneering at it. Their channels are built on hating everything. So, it's not like they're going to like it. They're not going to like it anyway. But no, it's wonderful. Bottle Imp Books says, I was listening to the Bookworm Archive earlier and wondered if you were a listener. Michael Silverblatt passed away in February, but there's a glorious archive of 1,600 episodes. I am not a listener, no. Hugo Rathall says, is Rejoice by Anthony Burgess better read before or after reading Joyce himself? How about instead? Rejoice, Joyce Prick, they're both really, really good. But how about instead of reading Joyce? Boonton says, Steve, Lonesome Dove more than halfway done. R.F. Kang recommends strongly, moderately, or not at all. What are we sending a telegraph here? Are you one step ahead of the Germans? I see her books popping up in many places and didn't mind Babel. Life's too short for you to read books that you don't mind, that you just don't mind. Okay, there are better authors to recommend. That Reading Guy's back, making more trouble. Mailing room number 3. Don't live in Canada. Well, I should actually add that, of course, that the mailing has to be in the lower 48 of the continental United States. It costs, I think, $80 to mail 1 pound to Canada. This is not a function of gas prices. This is not a function of inflation. This is not a function of labor costs. This is not a function of unions. This is the product of the evil handful of oligarchs who want to make it steadily less and less possible for anyone to communicate with anyone at all. So yeah, the lower 48 of the continental United States. Casper the Constant Reader says, don't be a jerk. In other words. Okay, but I don't know what that's referring to. Bean on Books says, hey, Steve, love your live streams. I just saw Alexander Bennett's new Musashi translation. Didn't even know they existed. How do they compare versus the big, older hardback translations? I haven't tried them yet. I'm obviously not going to go out and buy them with money. What's up, baby? What you doing up there? It's got to be pretty warm for you. I haven't read them yet. I feel mentally undressed. Kay Napolo says, in 1976, I was 12 years old. Good Lord, you're ancient. And I went on a class to Independence Hall, Philadelphia, to watch the musical 1776. I love that movie. I vaguely heard about it. Ryan Lisbon says, are you excited or maybe have already peeked at the upcoming Robert Harris Agrippa? I'd love to hear your thoughts whenever the time occurs. I have it at long last, but I haven't read it. Ryan Lisbon is back. Also, go Portugal over Colombia tonight. Not a drug war, World Cup match. Oh, Boston misses the Scots. I can speak for my city. Boston misses the Scots. We can appreciate the Scottish, our distant brothers. For just a brief period, all of Boston was Southie. It's glorious. Casper, the Constant Reader, says, I was lucky enough to be accepted as a reviewer for Open Letters, and he was a great help. Well, there you go. From horse's mouth. Colombian Thunder says, a Stevestream on a Saturday, and I'm on vacation. The vacation gets out on hold. Put on hold, I assume. Leo Picara says, did you finally read the new Musashi translation? Is it good? No, I haven't read it. That Reading Guy says, surely you are keeping both copies of Infinite Jest for yourself, a reading copy and one for the performative bookshelf. I have already mailed one out. Tempting the gods, since I'm a little bit leery about mailing out books at all. One of the first batch that went out was one of those copies of Infinite Jest. Walt says, Alex Sorondo is currently on an expedition to Sacramento to interview William Volman. Any thoughts on Table of Fortune yet? I have no thoughts on Table of Fortune, but I think it's wonderful that Alex is going to talk to the guy. That's great. He's going to make a friend. Volman is going to make a friend. He's going to expect that he's inviting just another interviewer with dumb questions, and he's going to get a friend out of the deal and questions he's going to love to answer. Flora should be reading says, hi Steve, glad to have caught the scream. Have you seen the disaster of the America 250 fair on the National Mall? We need a cathartic Irish stew about it. I have seen it. What would be the point? What would be the point of talking about it? The regime doesn't care whether or not it's popular. They're going to say it's popular anyway. And 200 million American Nazis are going to agree. They're going to say it was mobbed. The regime is going to say that it was a mob scene, that there were 350,000 people that attended. and anybody who thinks that if I say that I'm exhibiting TDS should remember Sean Spicer's first press conference 10 years ago, when he said that the crowd at Trump's first inauguration was the biggest crowd ever at any public event, period. Visually wrong, visually a lie. The regime was doing it then. So, oh, baby, now, what are you doing? Now, where are you going to go? That's a long way. Okay, there you go. Good. Sean Patrick says, Steve, could you recommend a novel set in Northern Ireland with Troubles as the backdrops? If only I read more Irish literature. I don't really know. Here, come here. Oh, you don't want to be over there, baby. It's too far away from me. Come here. There you go. There you go. All right. Free to drama. Is there quite a few? I should make a list. I should make a starter kit of Northern Ireland fiction. This is quite a bit. That's good. Colombian Thunder says, just read Dan Simmons' Hyperion and was very confused to discover Simmons lost it towards the end, as I would have thought the complete opposite. I was astounded by its beauty and clever writing. Okay. That reading guy says, I find it crazy when I see people out jogging in peak heat around lunchtime. I enjoy running, but only do it early in the morning when it's cool. Yes, some people like to do it. They if they're in peak condition, or if they are adrenaline junkies, they will push themselves in weather. You will see, I see people running, one a long time ago in Boston, we used to have a weather condition known as a blizzard that featured something called snow. Boston hasn't had snow in 20 years, and we'll never have snow again. But once upon a time, it was fierce winter weather conditions, and you'd see people jogging. It's ridiculous, but they at least know what they're doing, and have gone through all of the preparations, or at least have been told all the preparations. The people I worry about are the people who are just going about a normal day thinking, oh, it's just hot. When you do that, extreme heat will catch up on you if you do that. That's just the open door it wants. Leo Picard says, I haven't read any nonfiction this year. Every time I tried a novel or short story collection ends up grabbing me, and I abandon nonfiction. Should I admit to myself into an insane asylum? Well, I don't know about an insane asylum. I would feel punished. I would feel like poor Jane Eyre, sentenced to the Red Room, if I was only reading, especially since the fiction that I've read so far this year has been even worse than the nonfiction. New releases, I mean. Casper says Suffolk, Virginia. Okay, just out of the blue, though. No idea what that means. California says, reporting from sunny Southern California, you mentioned your like of Peter Mathiasson. Do you recommend reading The Spirit of Crazy Horse? What do you think of the Leonard Peltier case? The Spirit of Crazy Horse, well, I recommend all of him, but it wouldn't be my first recommendation. It's a tangled case, and it's a tangled book in a way that's not good. In a way that's not good. I mean, if I would make a list of like the 10 Peter Mathiasson books that you should read, that would not be on the list. Bottle Imp Book says 97 degrees Fahrenheit today in Poland. Fortunately, heading to Sweden for the next 10 days, where it should be a little cooler. I thought it was monstrously hot in Sweden, too. Yeesh. Sean Patrick says, Steve, in your opinion, did James Dean have the acting chops to play anything beyond a disaffected teen? No. It's patently obvious. I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to beat the drum, because I've been spending literally my whole life sitting there in a room full of people, or in a theater full of people, and being the only one in the crowd saying, what are all you people going on about? This guy stinks. I'm not even going to bother. California says, what's your favorite David Attenborough documentary? Life of Birds. The Life of Birds, especially the final episode. A Chaotic Mood Reader says, hey, Steve, are you planning to continue a read aloud of Jane Eyre into July? Oh, I have let Jane Eyre languish, haven't I? I've been concentrating on Can You Forgive Her, because we're getting close to the end. Just a week left of Can You Forgive Her, a big book. But I don't know. There's no reason that I have to stick to just June, right? Street Medics here. Apparently, Ireland had a tornado yesterday. A tornado, yes, and monstrous weather. A friend of mine lives in Northern Ireland, and and pointed out that one of the funniest jokes that she heard in quite some time was a young friend of hers in, I think, Dublin, saying that it was too hot to drink. that's one of the crisis meter is up over here somewhere. California says, how have your interactions been with the Scottish football fans upon Boston? They've been wonderful. I've only had 2, and they were wonderful. All of Boston has been completely charmed by the Scots. We didn't want them to leave. We don't want them gone. We want them to stick around, which is not customary for this city at all. That's not the reaction we have to an influx of strangers at all, ever. That reading guy says, along with Steve call-in show, we need a weekly column of advice. Dear King Tentacle needs to return. Maybe a thing for Steve Reads. Steve Reads. Yeah. My beloved Steve Reads, my Substack that so many people subscribe to, but so many people don't subscribe to. But yeah, Dear King Tentacle should return. That is actually kind of true. The chat jumped here. Let's go and find where we were. There we go. California. What do you think of Alison Weir's Six Wives of Henry VIII? Which of the wives is your favorite? My favorite is the final one, Catherine Parr. And Weir's book is good. It's not great. And also just that general plan of attack annoys me. It annoys me that for every study of Henry's reign, there are 2 books about the wives. So, 5,000 books on Henry's reign and 10,000 books on this procession of personalities. Alex says, hi, Steve, calling from scorching Tampa, Florida. I'm finishing up the reread of Native Son. What do you think of Richard Wright's work? I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. His whole time period strikes me as sometimes pretty heavy-handed, but I'm due for a reread of Native Son, definitely. Steve Bronstein says, hey, Steve, what do you make of the speculation that Trump is taking an experimental supercharged GLP-1 drug from Eli Lilly to reverse his alleged imminent death? His death is not imminent. He's going to live to 2047. But I have no idea at all. I mean, as soon as people saw the announcement that the drug was being used for compassionate use for one patient who was 79 years old, everybody immediately assumed that it was Donald Trump, and that it wasn't compassionate use. It was nice pharmaceutical company you got here. Be ashamed if something were to happen to it. That it was a threat, not, oh, gee, we feel so bad for you. I think the speculation is correct, obviously, but I think the speculation is correct, and I think that kind of a mention, there's just one person who's receiving this, 79-year-old person, I think that was intentional. But his death is not imminent, no matter what you hear from the Hope Core lefty YouTube channels. Colombian Thunder says, Steve, I'm reading Herodotus on the edge of an active, bubbling volcano, and the ground is rumbling. Do you approve? Oh, actually, I kind of do. Coles says, hi, Steve. What is your assessment of British historian Paul Johnson's book, Intellectuals, and/or assessment of Johnson? He's kind of lightweight. He writes long books that really feel like they want to be heavyweight, but he's kind of lightweight. He's kind of derivative. I see them all the time at the Brattle Bookshop. I see his big books all the time, and every once in a while, I will get, if it's $1, I will get one and give it a reread, and it's just it's a waste of time. There are, on any subject that he writes about at any length, there are better authors who are every bit as readily available. California says, thoughts on the play Edward III? Do you believe it was partially written by William Shakespeare? I think probably parts of it were written or touched up by Shakespeare. Yeah, I don't particularly like it, but I think Shakespeare is easy to see on the written page, even easier if you say it out loud. No matter how many collaborators there are, I think he's easy to spot. David Hume says, is there any Charles Bukowski worth reading? No. If not, why not? He had no talent. I've only read Factotum years ago as a teenager, and I think I enjoyed it. You didn't, and if you did, you shouldn't. He's a waste of your time, a complete waste of your time. He's a complete waste of time. John O'Connell says, play Misty for me, call into a radio show. Right. Jesse Passanen agrees with me that Bukowski is bad. Balin says, hi, Steve. Just experienced a thunderstorm after 3 days of heat wave. Finally feeling alive again. Have you been following the World Cup? I have not been following the World Cup. And I've been deeply disappointed because almost every day for the last 3 days, thunderstorms have been predicted here, and then they haven't materialized. They're always fun, but we haven't had one. That reading guy is back. I talked with a friend of mine about the dangers of the ocean, and she said sharks almost never attack. How many sharks attacks versus people in the ocean daily? It's very small. Oh, there's so much wrong with this. Okay, first of all, shark attacks are on the increase. And the reason for that is because of line trawling, because ship here will have drones. They will thermal sensor a school of fish. They will drop a line here. It will be connected to a ship a mile away, and that line will just drag the ocean like that. So all of that fish in that school, anything else that gets caught, literally dragging the entire thing along the bottom all the way to the surface, dragging every piece of biomatter in that net, which is then industriously cleaned and hauled. So we're emptying the oceans. So the sharks have nothing to eat, and therefore their attacks are on the increase. Your odds of getting bitten by a shark, I see people calculate these all the time, and it's just so ridiculous. If you're bobbing in the ocean where sharks hunt, your odds of being bitten by a shark go up astronomically. I'm not interested in hearing about falling vending machines. You're never going to have a shark as a danger in a hallway in the dental assistance building. Anyway, Kay Napolo says, is Superdog in the new movies? Oh, yes. Crucial plot point. David Hume says, do you like the Moomin books? HarperCollins is apparently publishing Tova Janssen's illustrated version of the Silmarillion next year. I don't, and I didn't know that about the illustrated Silmarillion. Although it is a natural progression. That once you're done with Alan Lee and once you're done with Tolkien's own illustrations, you're gonna want to come out with new editions of Silmarillion almost every year. New editions of the Lord of the Rings almost every year. It would be a natural progression to start commissioning artwork, since you can't change the text. It'd be a natural progression to start adding artwork. Still not the version that I want. I want a nice hardcover edition of the Lord of the Rings with full color reproductions of the Brothers Hildebrand artwork, all of it for Lord of the Rings. No idea why that hasn't happened. Also, you could also do a really nice illustrated version of the Lord of the Rings with high definition, beautiful stills from key scenes in the Peter Jackson movies with faded edges and maybe inlaid gilt work around the edges, so it doesn't just look like you stuck a picture in there. You could make a really nice edition like that, considering that I would say probably 30% of people who read Lord of the Rings now were introduced to it by those movies. That would be also a great idea to do. Let's see here. Where are we? Columbian Thunder. I know you've kind of gone on about this ad nauseum, but how long did it take you to reduce your subvocalization? I try every time I read, but I don't really feel any progress. You learned to subvocalize as a child. You were subvocalizing words before you could read them. And that was reinforced in you every day of your life for the first however many decades of your life. So you can't expect to change that right away. It's a slow process. And here you can imagine me extending a vigorous middle finger to the commentator who left a comment on some video, a week ago, saying that, I read an article somewhere on Reddit that it's impossible to subvocalize. So I guess you must be lying. You could just pick the finger there. But it's going to take time to change a lifetime habit, a habit you had before you even remember that you had it. Anyway, Andrew McDonald says, I'm calling from sunny Melbourne. How do you feel about UNESCO naming Melbourne a city of literature? I was confused by it. Every single time I've talked to an Australian, they have said there are no bookstores. There's no literary culture at all. I watch Grandpa's Book Club on BookTube. He seems very literary. He works in a bookstore. His bookstore never seems to have any customers. Is it warranted? You're in Melbourne. Is it warranted? Is Australia a literary place? I never get that impression. And I'll never know firsthand. I'll never visit your beautiful country. Steve Bronstein says, I've noticed you shirk from the subject of Michael Silverblatt. Was there a beef? You know, sometimes you ask a few too many questions. You know, Nosy Parker. I deny that I shirk from anything on the subject. Marvin Reed says, hello, King Donahue. Oh, I'm not your king. The title might apply, but only to people who would never use it. They don't know English. I just read Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. How much do you like it? How much do I like it? It's my favorite Shakespeare play. I failed to like it as much as his other well-known tragedies. Well, you know, that's going to be a matter of your own taste, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Street Medic says, I was looking through some old boxes and found a huge trove of vintage Alfred Hitchcock paperback anthologies. Most I've never read in almost mint condition. Wow. I don't have any boxes like that around here anymore. None of those lurking anywhere. Sean Patrick says, Steve, are there any good books about the American Intercoastal Waterway? Also, have you spent much time on it sailing? I spent a lot of time on it sailing. And there was a book. Oh, as usual, on a live stream, I'm not going to be able to remember anything. There was a book. One of you can certainly. I don't have any technology with me here except, of course, my Kindle, which is never far away from me. I don't have any tech other than that to look for it. Do I? I don't. No, I don't. There was a book. Oh, God, I want to say 30 years ago. That was quite good. But yes, I've spent a lot of time. Steve Bronstein says, I understand that Trump is going to die in 24/7, but as a hypothetical, if he were to die sooner, which of his kids do you surmise will take power? Well, I don't know that, hypothetically, if he were to die today, it wouldn't be that easy. The regime will lie about it. And I would imagine that they will lie about it for a really, really long time. I mean, look at how long Mitch McConnell's been dead. We're in thoroughly corrupt Kremlin territory here. But the dynamics of the family would be Don Jr. And maybe with an assist from J.D. Vance. I don't know. I doubt that they would reveal it until after the midterms. Once the midterms are going to make a lot of things clear to a lot of people that aren't clear now. And after that, you know, the Trump regime knows that they can kill American citizens in American streets who are not doing anything wrong, and there will not be mobs in the streets. There'll be protests, but there won't be a general strike. There won't be general work stoppage. Police stations all across the country will not be firebombed. The White House will not be firebombed. You won't have 100 people running at the White House with their own guns, all of them firing at the same time so that they can't all be stopped. Nothing like that will happen. The regime knows that they can shoot American citizens on American streets, throw Americans in concentration camps, and there will not be a general uprising. So there won't be one after the midterms. California says, what do you think of the Six Loves of James I? I kind of liked it. Columbia Nada says, I, of course, must view Ryan Lisbon as my mortal enemy. Obviously, go Columbia. Now, don't you two start fighting. California says, do you enjoy the works of George and Ira Gershwin? If so, which is your favorite? What is going on here? Do I like Julius Caesar? Do I enjoy George and Ira Gershwin? What's going on here? I don't have a favorite. I enjoy their works very much. Sean Patrick says, Steve, I have a confession to make. Until recently, I thought Thomas Wolfe and Tom Wolfe, the Ken Kesey guy, thanks, I know, were the same person. Am I beyond penance? You're not beyond penance, obviously. Raised Irish Catholic, no one's ever beyond penance. You aren't beyond penance, and I don't think you're beyond redemption. The name's the same. You could get that mixed up, I suppose. I assume that the mix-up comes because you have never read either man, which is bad. That's the real sin here, is not getting the names mixed up, is that you could only get the names mixed up if you hadn't read either one of them, which is bad because they're both great. That reading guy is back. When begins the chapter by chapter read aloud or takedown of Infinite Jest? You got to put the Dude Bro Bible in its place. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I will do it on Steve Reads, but I'm not going to give that much of my time to the thing. Steve Bronstein says, any thoughts about Eric Trump texting a former UFC fighter who now does announcing for to get insider information. They don't even try to hide anything. Yeah, notice how quickly both people involved said that it was fake. No one in the world believes that. You reap what you sow. If you're a part of the most corrupt administration of any government anywhere in the history of humanity, you can't claim, if you get a text like this leaks, you can't say, "Oh, it was fake." Would I ever do anything like that? No one believed it at all. California says, what do you think of the WPA's slave narrative collection? Do you know a preferred edition? I don't have a preferred edition. No. Kay Napolo says, Steve, did Boston really run out of beer for the World Cup? Not all of Boston, no. But a couple of key establishments did. We do live in the Matrix. Hope the wine and calzones are eternal. The wine and calzones are eternal, and so is the beer. That was a great little, cutesy poo headline. Boy, we missed the Scots, though. God damn. That was the kinds of guess. For a little while, the whole city was Southie. It was just incredible. Dylan Mathias says, hi, Steve. I recently read The Circular Staircase after hearing you mention Mary Roberts Reinhardt several times lately and loved it. I'm surprised she's been neglected. It was a joy to read. Yeah, she's a joy to read. She was incredibly popular in her day. Incredibly popular. Cozy says, do you like Froude's Carlyle? I do. Columbia Thunder says, sorry for the confusion. When I said Simmons lost it toward the end, I meant as he got older and increasingly more political. I didn't mean the book itself got worse over time. You notice that I was confused by that because that's just wrong. Okay, but now I see what you mean. Simmons lost it, not that Hyperion loses it at the end. Anti-Gaia says, Steve, what did you think of the sentencing of the Prairie Land protesters? Is this just the beginning of a long string of cracking down on dissent with threats of prison? First of all, this is not the beginning. This is a Trump thing. And protesters have been shot to death. Protesters have been kidnapped off the street and sent to concentration camps where they have been raped to death. The death tolls in American concentration camps, first of all, the number of those concentration camps is higher than is being reported, and because the mainstream media doesn't do any investigating. And second, the death toll in these places is astronomically higher than has been reported, just like the death toll in the war in Iran. The number of American servicemen who've died has been just plain lied about. But it's not cracking down on dissent with threats of prison. It's actually happening. And much worse is to come. You cannot protest. You'll see. Starting Monday, actually, start a business on Monday, you will start to hear, including from Donald Trump, that his, America's Fair 250 had record-breaking attendance. The regime doesn't care anymore that they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that not only is there ample visible evidence that they're lying, but that everyone in the world has seen it. They don't care anymore. They tell the lie anyway. My polls are as high as they've ever been. The highest polling anyone's ever had. California says, and here I am struggling to go through gym before 7 a.m. Street Medic says, so is Joyce the only Irish writer you hate? No, there's one other. Country Girl herself. There's one other I hate, but only those two. And only because they give themselves the ass. Andrew Russell says, hi, Steve, on a bit of a World War II nonfiction kick at the moment. Oh, my God. For some reason, my interest right now is drawn to the Eastern Front and some of the works of David Glantz. Well, that's the way that World War II usually works on people. Is that you read about it, and then your interest, it's such an enormous subject that your interest will be caught by one particular aspect, one person, one theater, even one battle. It usually doesn't stay there. It's an excellent way to get into any historical subject, but it usually doesn't stay there. Usually it broadens, you leapfrog from that to other things. Baby Suge says, do you like to watch any sports? What is the one that you find the most interesting? I think it's well known that I don't like sports at all. Isn't it? I certainly, beyond the pale that I would like baseball. John O'Connell says, how about the people who leave children and pets in hot cars? Astoundingly, that this continually happens and people have to be told not to do it. Yeah, I've had encounters with people like that so many times in my life, just so many times. And before the 21st century, before the internet, they were contrite. and now they're combative. Now they're incredibly combative. One woman in where was I? I was with a friend. We were used book hunting in Pennsylvania, I think. It was a really hot day. We found a wonderful rambly old used bookstore, and there was a dog locked in a car, and panting his head off. And I tried to open the car and it was locked. So I went into the main building and said, do you have an intercom? Do you have any way to contact all the customers all at once? Someone has locked a dog in a car out in the lot and the animal is dying. And I want the person to know that they have a minute to come and rescue their dog, or I'm going to break the window. And they can just, deal with my lawyer. And the person whose car it was overheard me asking that question and went straight out to the parking lot. I followed. And we got into an argument. And in the course of the argument, she said, well, if I want to kill him, I can. Yes, it's amazing that it keeps happening. Just amazing that it keeps happening. Yeah, there's a PS to that story. When you're here for wine and calzones, I'll happily tell it to you. That reading guy says, it's halfway through the year. What are your reading stats like? Are you going to beat last year's number? I'm going to beat last year's number. And you know why? You know why? There's a very easy reason why. That is the reason why. Because that's all she wants to do anymore. That's almost all she wants to do. I have to talk her into going on walks, and she's not interested in play. As long as she's wedged against me and nice and comfortable, that's all she wants. So my numbers are going to be really good. Yes. Let's see here. John O'Connell says astounding. Don't know what that means. That reading guy says, do you miss Ireland? I very much do. Yes. Not all of Ireland, but the north of Ireland, the west coast of Ireland in the north. It was where I lived, and I miss it. Yeah. Hannah's Books is here. Jane Eyre, you say your call came through the ether and pulled me to the chat. July Eyre, yes indeed. Oh no, Hannah made the chat jump. Yeah, it's never a bad time to read Jane Eyre. But there we go. Paul Morton, I had a nice visit to the Brattle this morning. They were a bit late opening because there was a van parked in the lot for delivering more books. Yes, indeed. Someone out delivering more books. I'll be thinking about them during the heat wave. I don't want them exerting themselves. Steve Bronstein says, what's your favorite Motown song? Does any of it move you literally or figuratively? No. Eric Gaines says, hi, Steve. Like you, I've been reading books of letters recently. I just finished the letters of Shirley Jackson, and I really liked it. Do you have any recommendations for other books of letters? Yeah, lots and lots of them. Lots and lots of them. I've been just overdosing on them. The Lewis McNeese volume that I got as tribute was very good. That sent me back to the collection that I praised. What was it, 2 years ago? The Letters of Emily Dickinson. And then I moved from there to the Letters of William Styron. Those were great. And that it depends on what kind of a figure that you want to be writing about. I mean, to be writing the letters. Andrew Russell says, I'm from Glasgow, and the Scottish fans have done us proud. They have indeed. They have indeed. No irony at all. I'm not being tongue-in-cheek. Not only were they well-behaved, except when everybody in the world expected them not to be. There's no hooliganism on the streets. They weren't well-behaved in the bars, the pubs, but no one wanted them to be, and no one expected that. But there was no hooliganism otherwise. Loud, opinionated, but perfectly courteous. No, they did you proud. They did you proud. We have had visiting nationalities for big sporting events in Boston over the decades. I can't remember a time when all of Boston felt like this. Deeply sorry that they're gone. I can't remember a time like that for any other nationality. That even the Irish. So yeah, they did you proud. Absolutely. No irony at all here. California says, what did you think of Chaos by Tom O'Neill? I'm not sure I agree with his theory of MK Ultra and Manson, but I thought he illuminated bizarre holes, specifically Manson's blatant parole violations. It was good. It was thoughtful. I agree with you. I don't know what gets into people's heads about MK Ultra. I really don't. It has become this gigantic amorphous bogeyman that is blamed for literally everything. And I say it's become like that's a modern thing, but I had an old friend who was blaming MK Ultra for everything under the sun 40 years ago. So whenever I see it come up in any kind of a book, I'm always just, uh, Baby Shooch says, I almost got in a fight with someone who called soccer football. I was shocked to find one out later. They call it that in England. Well, yeah. Yeah, everybody in the world calls it football except us. Nick Piccarilli says, has anything stood out from June Bond? Not really. No. I am almost done with the Fleming novels in order of publication, and if it weren't for the movies, I mean, that's the thing I kept thinking. I mean, he's a wimp, first of all. He's not a nice person. He's a loathsome, vile person. So he's not like he's a hero in any way. It's just, if it weren't for the movies, and the movie's coming along at just the right time, I that reading guy is back. We haven't had an Irish stew video in a few days. Any interesting news that has caught your attention, US or otherwise? Yeah, quite a bit. There's a reason you haven't had an Irish stew video in a few days. David Hume says, are the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius overrated? Oh, yes. Are they any good as practical advice? Not really, no. They are interesting, very interesting, because it's, the inner thoughts and musings of a Roman emperor. And you give your eye teeth to have that for a dozen other emperors. So it couldn't help but be overrated, because the Dude Bros got a hold of it and they overrate everything. But it's still very much worth reading. Bottle Imp Book says, recently found a signed John Hersey book, The Writer's Craft. I've read Hiroshima before. Any of his novels good? Yeah, his novels are very good, and The Writer's Craft is very good. I wish I had a copy of that. Dressy Crooner says, hey Steve, just read Yesteryear, mixed feelings. Any chance you review it for Open Letters? I doubt it. I doubt that I will. It's crap. It's a gigantic pile of crap. I don't know where your mixed feelings are coming from, but unless maybe in your copy you happen to find a $20 bill between two pages, but it's just garbage. But it's not just garbage; it's emblematic garbage. It's emblematic of the failing of modern fiction. I doubt that I'll review it. What would be the point? Steve Bronstein says, do you think Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables comment was a tactical error? Well, it's always a tactical error to attack the supporters of your opponent. That's always going to seem a little bit rude. So it's probably a tactical error. I can think of a lot of other tactical errors that our campaign made, including some. I mean, the worst tactical errors that you ever make are going to be made on TV. Amazing how few politicians understand that, even now. And she made quite a few blunders on TV. But it was right. I mean, there's that as consolation. It was totally right. Coldifornia says, is there any good biography about John Calvin? Are any of his writings worth reading? His writings are worth reading if you're interested in the history of religion, history of Christianity. Then yeah, they are. There are no good popular editions of his books that I know of, annotated, relatable editions of his translations or whatever. There's none of those that I know of. But there are non-popular and non-good, very, very wooden editions that are worth it. And there was a biography. Oh, again, I'm not going to be any help at all. I haven't read a John Calvin biography in so long. It's such depressing reading. But there was a biography, it was before the turn of the millennium, that was kind of good. It's kind of good. You're going to run into a lot of problems with biographies of him, because most of them will be done by Calvinists. Baby Sue says, can you talk about why Stoner by John Williams is so popular now? I heard someone call it the great American novel the other day. Well, first of all, the Dude Bros love it because they love the title, not because it's someone's name. They mistakenly think it's about something that they really, really value in their lives. But also, it's a pure anthem to all that they believe about themselves. It's a gigantic written monument to self-pity and no chicks. So yeah, it's got all the ingredients to be a Dude Bro great American novel. That reading guy says, I read Paul Johnson's Intellectuals a few years ago, and it certainly was lightweight. The premise is interesting, but he doesn't really deliver. I know the Intellectuals is probably the book that I think about first when I think about everything he does wrong. He's just not there. It's just, there are so many better books you could read, better people you could read on the same subjects. Uh, Auntie Gaia says, even if Trump's kids do take power, they'll still worship father like they do Kim Jong-il in North Korea. Yeah, well, I doubt that they will admit that he's dead for a long time. I doubt that they will. And they'll call reports that he is dead fake news and whatnot. And his faithful, there's a new religion, and he is at the heart of it. And they don't believe that he can die. They believe he has supernatural powers. You saw that. What's the name of that pasty face, big orange hair twink, Neil? He has a podcast, has a tobacco deep voice, and he was talking with Tucker Carlson just the other day, and earnestly asked him, "Do you think Donald Trump has superpowers?" Of course, Tucker Carlson said, "Yeah, I think he basically does." They're already there. So, Street Medic says, "So I was bored and betrayed my expressed moral values and asked AI some political question. I think a magic 8-ball is more accurate." Sean Patrick says, "Steve, do you think Christopher Hitchens was a good book critic?" Very good. Yeah, very good. Especially since he really came into book criticism when he was already Christopher Hitchens. So he would get people would allow him a little room, which a digressive writer, an elusive writer like him really needed to come out. Yeah, he's really good as a book critic. Andrew Russell says, "I'm going to see a play, Silence of the Lambs, in August." There's a play version of Silence of the Lambs. Can't wait. Do you have any thoughts on stage adaptations of literature, i.e. whether different media should just stay in their own lane? I would love to see a play of Silence of the Lambs. How would you even do that? Oh, God, they'll go for garish. I bet they will. They'll go for garish. It's such a subtle book. And they won't see that at all. It'll be the Klieg lights on the hockey mask Hannibal Lecter. Oh, you have to tell me what you think, what it's like. I can't imagine seeing such a thing. Must Read More says, "I'll never understand the love for Stoner. It's about a man who does absolutely nothing to improve his own life and consistently makes it worse. And that's why they love it." Yep, it is a monument to self-pity. Dressy Crooner says, "Just read The Warden and Barchester Towers back to back. My first ever trollop." Wow, what a start. "I have also been watching your old Barchester Towers read along. I've really enjoyed my trollop experience so far. And we're about to finish up. We have a week left in Can You Forgive Her? And I am so tempted to just start another trollop. Just do it. Just start another trollop. I love reading him to you all. Let's see here. Manny says, "Duke's Children Read Aloud would be a hoot." I agree. But I know I've talked about it. I've done buddy reads on it a couple of times, I think. But I'm really tempted to read The Way We Live Now out loud. Really. And also The Prime Minister, which I just love as a trollop novel. I would love to read that out loud. Edward Gibbons says, "Hi, Steve. Do you have a favorite composer? And could you name a great book about their life and work?" Well, I'm not supposed to say John Philip Sousa here, right? Personal favorites, yes, and they don't have lives written about them. They're these totally anonymous, now completely forgotten Venetian composers. But in terms of the limelight, people whose names people would know, there's Johann Sebastian Bach, who is just incredible to listen to. And the only problem is that I can't do anything else when I'm listening to him. But there was a book called Music for the Castle of Heaven, a biography of him that was just incredible, just amazingly good. Dressy Crooner says, "I read Agnes Grey for a Bronte book club in London and found it very safe and tame compared to The Tenant of Wildfell Hall." Yeah, and even The Tenant of Wildfell Hall seems sane and safe compared to Jane Eyre or Wuthering Heights. So you get a little glimpse of the Bronte sisters there. Balin says, "I have come over to your point of view about shark attacks ever since reading The Death of the Dragoman in Treason's Harbor by Sharks. Patrick O'Brien shares your fear of sharks." He doesn't. The Dragoman has it coming, right, in that scene, because everyone around him is just dumbfounded that he would do this. Even Jack Aubrey, who is fond of swimming in the ocean, which horrifies his men because they can't swim, and they think, they rightly should, that the ocean is where sharks are. So the point, we get to the point where there's all sorts of mythology about Jack Aubrey jumping off a ship and landing on a shark. What what Balin is talking about here is the dragoman. He gets it pretty quick, rather dramatically. California says, what is the best edition of Pilgrim's Progress? Are there any other John Bunyan's writings / commentaries worth reading? I don't find him much worth reading. There was an annotated edition of Pilgrim's Progress, I think from the University of Chicago Press, a good long time ago, that was really, really good with its annotations. The annotations were not zealous and they were not condescending. But I don't, as usual on a live stream, I don't remember any useful details. That reading guy's back. You once said your version of Gandalf doesn't look anything like he does in the movies. What would your version of Gandalf look like? He would look a little bit harder, not quite as soft and fluffy as he tends to be in the movies or the Rankin and Bass cartoon or whatnot. He would be a little harder. So instead of Ian McKellen, picture Sam Elliott as kind of a little bit harder, a little bit more dangerous. Would be how I would do it. It might not look completely different because he's fairly precisely described. Is it Sam Elliott I'm thinking of? Guy with an incredibly deep voice and the big mustache. He's been on a few shows recently. He was on the Ranch with Ashton Kutcher for like 6 seasons, something like that. I'm blanking if that's his name. I think it's Sam Elliott, but something like that, something harder. So it might not be a physical thing. It would be more an affect. California says, is Soledad Brother by George Jackson worth reading? Would you do a prison literature starter kit? I will not do a prison literature starter kit. I didn't find it worth reading, but you might. Stephen Bronstein says, do you think Trump's dementia could eventually break his filter to the point that he would finally drop the act and start talking honestly to his supporters about what he thinks of them? No, dementia doesn't work like that. It doesn't break you down completely like that. No, it certainly doesn't break down a lifetime of animal cunning. It wouldn't be that. No. Besides, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be like some big Hollywood television reveal. They would love it if he told them that he thinks they're scum. They would love it. He has trained an entire generation of 250 million Americans to love their own debasement and vote against their own self-interest. If you go to them, if two politicians go to them and one says, my policies are going to help you, and the other one says, my policies are going to hurt you, they'll vote for the one who says, my policies are going to hurt you. That has changed. He has done that. No. What will be noticeable is if his utterances become so uncontrollable that they seem to threaten local satrapies, the local reigns of power. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that could happen. But if he starts being just incredibly guttermouthed at all times, even in state visits in the Oval Office, that he might be controlled. But no, the third act reveal, the big reveal where the people turn on him is not going to happen. They will not turn on him for any reason whatsoever at all under any circumstances. Steve Bronstein says is referring to Silverblatt. Not sure I even know who this person is. Patel Stir says, I just finished reading Nature Walks by Kathy Johnson and really loved it. Without your hedgehog videos, we would all be lost. Also, a hedgehog video about hiking and nature would be much appreciated. I should get back to hedgehog videos. I didn't do one today, but I should. California says, you've mentioned before that Einstein's detriments as an author. What is the best book on the general theory of relativity? Wow. Okay. If you should read the general theory of relativity, if you're interested in the subject, that's the place you have to start. You have to read the general theory of relativity and grope your way through it. There was, again, an annotated edition that was quite good. I had it in a floppy trade paperback, but I remember no details about it because this is a live stream. Street Medic says, did you see the picture of Trump sitting on a towel when he visited the faux news set? I wonder why they thought that was necessary. I saw a picture. Yeah, I also saw all the memes of people remembering Poppy from Seinfeld. And this stain on the couch. There's a lot of that going around. Andrew McDonald said, one of Nick Cave's lyrics is Bukowski was a jerk, Berryman is best. Tolstoy 111 says, "Hi Steve, do you like the sort of booktube channel Jerome Weisselberry? It's a young lad, young lady giving her book/movie reviews. She's smart and fun. Don't know this channel at all. I don't have any way to look it up. I did not come prepared for my own Stevestream. The only electronics I have is my Kindle." XJ says, "Regarding these reading techniques, what's your view on immersive reading with audiobook and text in hand? Recommended? Does the audio speed make a difference?" I've never understood it. It is even slower than reading out loud. It's slow. People swear by it. They say that it helps them to really possess the book. Okay, that's great. If it works for them, I wouldn't do it on a bet. Manny says, "So why do you like the Supergirl movie so much? I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet." Well, I'm not saying it's the greatest movie in the world. It's just terrific. It's a terrific, fun movie. It hits all the right beats. The lead actress is wonderful. The comic relief of Lobo is wonderfully done, perfectly done. The visuals are incredible. It's got a wonderful ending. The Superman bits are great. They didn't drop the ball at all. I don't know what the chuds are complaining about. Well, I do know what the chuds are complaining about. But ordinary people, I would think, love it. I hope they don't listen to the negative reviews. California says, "What is the best biography of Galileo / books on the history of heliocentrism?" There was a great Galileo biography a long time ago, like 45 years ago, that was really good. Don't remember anything about it. Jesse Kruner says, "I enjoyed Silas Marner. I could see all the prototypes of Middlemarch firmly in place. So much fun to see Elliot's journey toward her masterpiece." I agree. It's the only thing I enjoyed about Silas Marner. Tolstoy 111 says, "Have you seen Disclosure Day? It's being condescended to, but I feel it will look better with the years." I did see it, yeah, and I really enjoyed it. I get the impression about the condescension that you mentioned, but I don't know the details. I've had that impression just sort of floating in the air without really nailing down an example. Stephen Newton says, "Oh, the live stream. Hope I didn't miss too much of your wisdom." There's been no wisdom. Andrew McDonald says, "What did you think of Frank Frazetta's Lord of the Rings illustrations?" I don't remember more than a couple of them. If I do remember Frazetta at all, they didn't make a strong impression on me. Whereas the Brothers Hildebrand, I want their illustrations in a Lord of the Rings. I mean, you'd have to turn the book. Most of them are landscapes, so you'd have to turn the book at the appropriate time. I think I can manage that. Jesse says, "What do you think of Philip Roth?" I think he stinks. Richard Fuller says, "Hey Steve, who is your favorite boy band, and why is it New Kids on the Block?" It is New Kids on the Block. Who are you expecting? Were you expecting me to say someone else? No, it's New Kids on the Block, of course. Edward Gibbons says, "What do you think of Joanna Barnes' Nightwood?" I don't like it all that much. I know that it's venerated, but it doesn't really do anything for me. Auntie Gaia says, "Steve, did you enjoy the BBC adaptation of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell?" I did not watch it. Balin says, "The thunder seemed to hit my building repeatedly, felt like being hit by artillery. Isn't Trump too old to dismantle the Republic now?" No, Trump has already dismantled the Republic. That's the thing that I don't seem to get that across to anybody. That's hence why I retired Irish Stew videos. This is not a rubber band. This is not a rubber band. He has distorted the shape of the country into an autocracy. It's not going to snap back. No matter what happens at the midterms or even the general election, it's not going to snap back. It is now that shape. And that is the dismantling of the Republic. That is, there are two killers walking around free. Two people shot and killed American citizens on American streets in broad daylight in front of witnesses. They were masked from head to toe, and they are still walking around free. They are still with their families. They are still collecting benefits. They are still going on holidays and whatnot. They are not in any kind of danger from the government. They committed murder on camera. Anyway, California says, "What did you think of the movie The Devils by Ken Russell?" It's not ringing a bell. Steve Bronstein says, "Steve, what do you like when you get drunk on wine?" Well, you could ask my guest, but I get even chattier. I'm a very happy drunk. I bet that's when stories about Bourdain and Silverbud start flowing. Okay, feel free to ignore me. I'm starting to annoy myself. I am a very happy drunk. very chatty and very happy, even more so than usual. Sometimes, every once in a blue moon, some wild hair will strike and I will get all weepy and nostalgic, but usually not. That reading guy says, you are certainly more knowledgeable about soccer than you like to admit on camera. I deny that completely. I have never. Hannah's book says, I'm eager to hear which other Irish authors you don't like. There's only one. Our very own country girl. Stephen Newton says, I was watching the first few episodes of World at War, and it's surprising how lucky the Germans were early on. Was it luck? Was it? Oh no, the chat jumped. Oh goodness. Okay, let's all right, there's a lot of comments here. How many people are here? I'm seeing 14. Okay, well, let's just keep going. Early on, that's how the last one ended. Ye gods, you people have missed me. It's so touching. Let's see here. Let's keep going here. Goodness gracious, look at all these comments. Why does the chat jump like this? Why does it do that? It's so annoying. It's just so annoying. Here, let's just keep going. Okay, there we go. Okay, Dressy Crooner. Will Frida appreciate it if I arrive at Hyde Cottage and sing a prepared melody of Al Jolson songs? Well, you won't be arriving anywhere without an invitation. Street Medic says, before I retired and was still working a paramedic, I took great satisfaction in breaking car windows on hot days. Cole says, hi, Steve. What is your assessment of Irwin Shaw's The Young Lions and or your assessment of Shaw's career? Shaw's career is fascinating. He's not particularly readable. I didn't rail against him when he was at his peak, the way I did with all of his contemporaries, all of his other male misogynist contemporaries, because he seemed kind of harmless to me. But I would like to revisit, his 4 big books, let's say. I would like to revisit them. I'd be willing to bet that if they cropped up at the Brattle Bookshop, I would probably grab them. That reading guy says, your Oh Jane comments remind me when I sigh, oh Steve, during a frothing Steve. User OM says, hey Steve, I'm reading David Weddell's biography of Sam Peckinpah. If they move, kill him. I'm finding it a hard slog due to Peckinpah's abuse of alcohol and other people, particularly women. Yeah. Dressy Crooner says, I still think about the funny story you told of someone passing the Brattle saying, oh, I love books, touching them, and then walking away and not getting a single book. That happened just the other day. I was there just the other day. When that happens almost every time I'm there, where I was at the outer carts, the ones on the street, a group of people passed by and they said, oh, books, oh, this is incredible. And they kept walking. That reading guy says, do women write more subtle books than men on average? Britta might think so, but what about you? Just don't tell her. I said, yes, they do. Andrew Russell said, oh no, you're responding to someone else. Hannah's book says, as for favorite letters, how about Flannery O'Connor's? I don't have a collection at the moment. Manny N says, I've been reading and loving the Decameron lately and been really enjoying this translation I'm reading. So charming, but what is something translators usually get wrong when translating it? Well, which translation is it? I'm assuming it's the Rebhorn translation with my blurb on it. I would assume that that's the book you got. But with the Decameron, usually it's for the first 350 years, the thing the translators got wrong is that they bawdlerized it. And for the 100 years after that, the thing they get wrong is that they think that they're finishing the job if they remove the bawdlerization, when you've got to capture the wit. It can be as explicit as you want, but if you're not capturing the wit, you're failing. Monet Doyle says, hello. Coldifornia says, is there a recommended book about the Fred and Rosemary West murders? A book I recommend? Is that what you're talking about? I don't have a recommendation on that subject. Morgan Mello says, how highly do you esteem Gerald Manley Hopkins? Do you revisit his work? I esteem him very highly, and I do revisit his work. It needs revisiting. There's no way not to. Coldifornia says, what do you think of Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations? Is Smith an engaging writer? He's a very engaging writer. I'm sure that I'm not understanding it in the extent that a certain someone would understand it, but I do love it. Yeah. Dressy Crooner says, please do a Dude Bro Destruction video on James Lawley of the Gentleman's Collective channel. What is that? The Gentleman's Collective channel? I don't have anything to take this down with. The only tech I have is my Kindle. The Gentleman's Collective sounds like prime territory for a bro watch video. Stephen Newton says the fact that Bond isn't a good guy is one of the reasons I like the book version over the goofy movies. He's not all that good a guy in the movies either, but at least in the movies he's heroic. I guess all types. I mean, the books were popular, so. That reading guy says, speaking of letter collections, have you kept any of your letters before the age of email? Oh, yeah. Kept a great wonking chunk of them. Hannah's book says, did you happen to see the Traffic Come On sculpture tribute that the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum did for the Scots? I don't know what that means. Traffic Come On sculpture tribute. No. I saw a display outside the Gardner Museum, but I don't know what that description is. I'm sorry. Street Medic says JFK is the reason James Bond became popular. Apparently, he was a huge fan of the books. A reason. There were movies. California says, who do you enjoy more, Kipling or Tennyson? Kipling. I feel like they occupy a similar space and seemingly jingoistic sentiment while actually criticizing the functions of empire. They can be very similar, yeah. Balin says, I stayed in Donegal for 2 months volunteering at a hostel. I really loved it, but all the young people I met wanted to leave. Among the easiest places I've been to strike up a conversation, though, yes, the people. Usually when I miss a place, it's not the people that I miss, but with Donegal, it was the people. California says, I felt Tennyson's charge of the Light Brigade was much grimmer indictment of British military adventurism instead of the pro-nationalist ode it's often portrayed as. Yeah. Usually the people that are condemning these things and pulling down the statues and renaming the chairs and the grants do not understand the work. Dressy Crooner says, the problems I had with yesteryear were the fundamentally one-dimensional caricatural characters and the baffling behavior of the protagonist, who is way too smart and introspective to be a trad wife. Oh, yeah, well, there were 100 problems with the book, and those are 2 of them, yeah. Boonton says, I thought Hillary blundered in the debate where they asked her to say something nice about Trump, and she said his family's horrible, and that was obvious back in 2016 as much as now. Well, you have to say something. There's nothing you can say about him. Nothing you can say about him. But I think she blundered in the debates mainly by not rounding on him and saying, back off, you stupid creep. Why are you lurking behind me on camera in front of 20 million watching people? Rounding on it. She said it herself, that she wished that she had done that. Turned around and said, could you back the fuck up? And she didn't do it. Instead, he gets to just, menace her on camera. Anyway, that reading guy says, what are the best technical aspects of modern fiction? No idea what that means. Dressy Crooner says, also, Burke has annoying stylistic tics, which include overuse of repetition, especially sentence fragments, lazy kneel. Okay, I don't know what you people like. Let's stay on topic here. Eyes on the prize. Dylan says, speaking of dude bro literature, who would you consider the earliest dude bro writer? I can't think of anyone who meets all your criteria prior to Hemingway and Van Vechten, but surely it's not so new. It's the Old Man in the Sea. It's The Old Man in the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. California says, what do you think is Ben Jonson's best play? I believe he's best known for Jacobean playwrights behind Shakespeare. He's the best Jacobean playwright behind Shakespeare. Well, I would probably pick Volpone. I mean, probably I would pick the big one. Balin says, do you have any advice on being consistent in writing? I've had to do a lot of writing and I have trouble doing the work every day consistently. You answer your own question. Do it every day. Do it every day. Without fail. I would also say probably do it for the same amount of time every day. 30 minutes every day. No distractions, no stopping. Every day. And then you can contact me in a year when we can up that to an hour. You will improve. Every aspect of it will get better if you do that. Will. Not might, not sometimes. It will get better. Even if that 30 minutes a day is writing in your journal. California says, would you recommend The Man Who Sold the World, Ronald Reagan, and the Betrayal of Main Street? No. John O'Connell says, "Did you see J.D. Vance on Bill Maher last night? What do you make of both he and Pence's appearing on Maher's show?" I did see J.D. Vance. Yeah. How could I not? How could I not have a reaction? Well, it was only a matter of time, right? It was only a matter of time. The regime will tell you what your reality is, and you will take that reality from the regime, and you will believe it. And it doesn't matter what you thought before. Nixon was a good president. There's no such thing as a bad president, except for the guys that the boss says are bad. Sleepy Joe Biden, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? But nobody else. The bad is not bad. Dressy Crooner says, "The Ullathorne Fate chapters killed much of the momentum in Barchester Towers for me. Otherwise, I really enjoyed it, and Eleanor's slap was so much fun to see." Street Medic says, "I've read that William the Conqueror and Henry VII and Henry VIII really sunk when they died. Trump apparently has a head start from what I've heard. Really stunk when they died." Hannah's book says, "When I read Stoner before knowing anyone else's opinion, I thought it was about the stupidity of the main character's approach until the portrayal of the female characters got so horrendous." Yeah. Zachary says, "Anything along the lines of Avram Davidson's historic NYC fiction or Caleb Carr's Alienist to recommend." I don't know what those lines are. That reading guy says, "Do women write more subtle books than men on average?" Wait, you already asked that. Manny says, "I've been dipping in and out of Le Mort d'Auteur lately. It's been fun, but I can't help but always be reminded how much, dare I say, better T.H. White handled these stories." Well, different. And of course, I like Once for Future King a lot better. But Le Mort d'Auteur is brilliant. It's just, you have to take a step back from it, but it's brilliant. Manny says, "Or at the very least, in a far more impactful and nuanced way." Okay. Oh, right. Oh, responding to a more modern way, not more nuanced, more modern nuances. J. Scott Phillips is here. "The Stevestream caught me miles from home. As I rushed back and listened to the car, I heard you say you have no tech close by other than your Kindle. Does that mean no Blob Watch?" No Blob Watch. I don't have any tech except my Kindle. Ancient Egypt fiction. No, I don't have any tech near me at all except for that. The Kindle has been my constant best friend all day long. But the Blob Watch, the main Blob Watch is wouldn't be visible anyway. It's the heat. We're going to have heat. We're going to have a very hot week. Morgan says, "What do you think of Thomas Merton in general and as a poet?" I don't know enough about him as a poet to comment. In general, I like him. Andrew Russell says, "When you're missing a leg and are crying out for help with a great white circling, thinking, well, I guess I'm one of the unlucky ones, won't do you much good." It's ridiculous the way people talk about this. But, you got a better chance of being killed by a falling vending machine, dude. Now I'm going to get on my board with my arms and legs on either side, flapping at the water, and go out past the breakers at dawn and dusk. Your odds are not the same. Your odds are not the same. Your odds of being attacked by a shark on land are zero. It is not going to happen. Amtrak Jack says, "Curious what your thoughts are on the recent New Yorker piece on the Tate brothers." It was meant to rehabilitate them. It doesn't matter that at one point in the piece, the author of the piece said that Tristan Tate was lying to her. She comes right out and says he seemed unbothered by the fact that he was lying to me. That was buried in the piece. It was meant to rehabilitate. No matter what she would say, it was meant to rehabilitate. Coldifornia says, "What did you think of the documentary Harlan County, USA?" I never saw it. I just saw it, and I was shook by the crippling poverty portrayed. I know the movie's over 50 years old, but it still shakes you. Haven't seen it. Coldifornia says, "It's really depressing realizing that portions of America have poverty comparable to developing nations." Now that I have seen. I haven't seen the documentary, but I've been in those places. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just amazing. Boonton says, "Sam Elliott as Gandalf triggered a nightmare for me. Season 5 of Lord of Rings of Power with Timothée Chalamet as a middle-aged Gandalf." So it is Sam Elliott. I'm right about that one. But you see what I mean. my Gandalf wouldn't necessarily look different, not much different, but he would feel different. He would be as sharp and flinty as he is in the book. Six Dean says, have you watched the film that debunked Bigfoot? I thought it'd be out by now. I haven't heard anything. Was the video faked in the end? It's hard to believe. I haven't seen it. No, people have seen it, including one dyed-in-the-wool Bigfoot content creator on YouTube who said, I've seen it and we were all wrong. It is fake. The Patterson Gimlin film is obviously fake. This could not be any clearer. But no, as far as I know, it hasn't received any kind of widestream distribution. You'd think it would. Morgan says, what do you think about Eastwood finally retiring at the age of 96? Is there anything about his career you enjoyed? I have enjoyed a couple of the movies he directed. Yeah. Must Read More says, when you said a Gandalf that looks harder, all I can think of was Charles Bronson in a wizard hat. I wouldn't go that far. Let's see here. Bottle Imp Book says, on Irish Writers, I read Don Levy's Ginger Man recently, and he just lifts directly from Joyce, phrase and dialogue straight from Ulysses. It was so blatant. Yeah, he's not good, but I don't hate him. Andrew Russell said, what do you think of the young lad Parker who debates frequently on social media, including with Trump fanatics? Worth a look if you haven't already come across him. I have come across him. Yes. I think it's a waste of time, but he's certainly good at it. That Reading Guy says, who do you think is the best candidate for Jack the Ripper? My money's on you. Balin says, I also think the popularity of Stoner reflects the sad, passive lives most of the men who read it live, because I had and overcame such a phase in my early 20s. I find the book utterly revolting. We might be on the exact same page there. I never had that phase in my early 20s or at any other time. But I saw a lot of people who did, and I experienced it when I was that age. I knew people who were like that, and that makes it extra revolting for me. Street Medic says, Liam Neeson as Gandalf, I have a particular set of skills. Balin says, I really like Supergirl. What baffled me most is that the Chuds think the actress who plays Supergirl is ugly. I know they go on and on about that. Oh, she's not hot enough for me. I wouldn't date her. Don't hold the phone for offers, bud. but no. Well, she's quite lovely and perfectly fine in the role. Perfectly fine in the role. If this thing and Superman, the James Gunn Superman, were made for the Chuds, and they still don't like it, so ignore them. Just cut them out of the equation all completely. They cannot be pleased. Their channels are built on hating everything. Anyway, Kay Napolo says, what do you think of the Obama library opening? I must say the Bush relationship makes me a little shaken. Are there any innocent leaders left? Left? I didn't watch the whole ceremony. It's kind of silly. So, California says, what of Melville's works would you suggest after reading Moby Dick? Well, I hate to give you it depends, but it depends on what about Moby Dick you really liked. I mean, there's an argument to be made. I had a friend who made this argument for a long time, that if you have a hankering for Melville after Moby Dick, read Billy Budd and then just keep rereading Moby Dick and don't read anything else. And I can almost see that. Morgan says, have you seen this new booktuber named Trevor Warrenfelt? Guy looks like a genuine Gregory Peck descendant and talks a bit about his journey with classics. Do not know these booktubers you people are naming. I don't know that at all. Richard Fuller says, Steve, how deeply do you read into the sciences? Do you keep an eye up with any journals? No, I don't. I got natural history for a long time when Stephen Jay Gould had a running column, and I read everything in the issue. And for a long time, I subscribed to Scientific American and read it dutifully. But I don't subscribe to either one of those anymore. The closest I get now is National Geographic. I don't keep up with at all. No. Omar says, I'm a new subscriber. You can watch my videos without subscribing. Favorite books about movies or favorite movie critics? Well, favorite books about movies would go on for a long time. My favorite movie critic of all time does not review movies, has no book, does no work at the moment. But of course, I'm going to say Pauline Kael, and also what's his name? Oh God, I'm forgetting the author's name, but for a long time he did a column under a pseudonym. The column was called "If You Ask Me," and the pseudonym was Libby Waxman Gelmer. And I believe "If You Ask Me" was those columns were in the old Rolling Stone, I think, and they were collected into a book. I think there is at least one book of "If You Ask Me," and those were hilarious and also deceptively good movie criticism. But Pauline Kael to start with. Jesse Crooner says, I bought the one volume Dalek biography of JFK from Oxfam recently, not the O'Brien. Sorry, Steve. Well, the O'Brien's hard to find. That would be a real find at an Oxfam shop. That reading guy says, what are good books, fiction or nonfiction, to teach to high school students? Any suggestions? Well, you'd want to keep it short. You'd want it to be really dramatic. There's a reason why John Hersey's Hiroshima does so well with high school students, because it's short and it's really dramatic. It's short so you won't feel the students won't feel mulish about reading it, and it's really dramatic so that if they give it even a little bit of a chance, it'll grip them. And you can find other books like that are more modern than that. Like for instance, Bernard McClavery's novel Cal is really, really gripping, and it's very short. It's so they're going to be in it right away. There's a long list I can make. California says, what is your favorite audiobook? I don't listen to audiobooks. Street Medic says Einstein's piece on relativity isn't really that long, but I think that while it's dated and deals mostly with quantum theory, the Cosmic Code by Pagels has a good explanation of reality. Oh, there you go. The person who asked that question, the Cosmic Code. Morgan says, what do you think of John Carpenter's movies? Not much. Tolstoy 111 says, regarding Disclosure Day, it's being called out-of-touch boomer propaganda by the usual suspects. They are especially mocking Spielberg's faith in traditional media. They don't get that it was aspirational. Oh, no, the chat jumped. You were in the middle of you were in a two-part comment and the chat jumped. And I can't get it to stop jumping, but we have to wrap things up. So it's a little distressing how many comments there are here. I'm just scrolling and scrolling. There you go. They don't get that it was aspirational. Current media discourse is explicitly compared to pro wrestling. Yeah, don't I remember there being a really condescending review of it in the New Yorker? Dressy Crooner says, you successfully shamed me into writing a first draft of a novel. Now I just have to edit it. Oh, good. Stephen Newton says, I saw the Supergirl movie and really enjoyed it. Personally, it is funny when I watch film critics say they seem to like everything but the story. I don't know what's going on here. Well, I do. With the Chuds, I know exactly what's going on here. But there are movie critics as well. The problem is a lot of movie critics in the same area will go to the same screening for the same bags of free stuff, and they will all talk before and after so that you get a uniformity of opinion. Cozy says, have you read Sally Rooney's article on Joyce Eustace, and did you like it? Hope it's okay to ask if you've read articles, not books. I have not read it, no. That reading guy says, the school that hired me has books available to teach, like Snow Falling on Cedars by David Gooderson. Yeah, I know who wrote Snow Falling on Cedars. Thanks. The Color Purple and Tuesdays with Maury. Any of those books any good? The Color Purple is pretty good, but none of your students are going to read it. And Snow Falling on Cedars, good luck. Good luck getting a student to read that. No, that's the wrong approach. Definitely the wrong approach. Street Medic says, of course, Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time is okay. You're still recommending books. Samwise is here. My side shows over 100 people watching, but I'm saving all my questions for our upcoming chat. Yes, Samwise and I are going to have another one of our video chats. You all seem to like them. That's going to be a lot of fun. Balin says, I feel like Trump is like the old Marius. He cannot establish an autocracy. I agree the Republic is doomed, but because there is blood in the water, young Caesars / Sullas are waiting for their chance. There are some parallels. The key thing that's missing here is the biddability of the Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard never worshipped the Caesar that they protected, so you could get them on your side when you wanted to be the new Caesar. Before the Praetorian Guard, when it was Marius and Sulla and Cinna or whatnot, it was the same thing. You could get a cadre of bodyguards to protect you, and their loyalty was not fixed because it wasn't a religion. And this is a religion. So that adds an element that I don't think you're considering. John O'Connell says, I found it touching when the Scottish World Cup fans sang God Bless America in the pub. Sean Patrick says, Steve, my nephew lives in East Boston. I know people make fun of Eastie. They do indeed, and rightfully so. But I thought it was pretty nice when I visited, other than planes constantly flying overhead. Why anyone thought it was a good idea for people to live there, I don't have any idea. Manny says, World Cup has been fun, but Sweden have to play France in the knockout rounds. Norway would have been more fun to play against to retake the Viking row from them. I Samwise says, okay, just one question. I knew it. What is the Brattle Bookshop selection of sword and sorcery like? The Brattle doesn't care about science fiction or fantasy. They know about it. They get something valuable that's going to go up on the third floor, but they don't care about it. They don't care about romance. There are a couple of other subjects that they just don't care about, and you can tell. You can tell. So it entirely depends on the latest buys. We just had a huge buy of mass market paperbacks and also a huge buy of science fiction and fantasy. So right now things are really strong. It could be that at the end of summer all that's gone and nothing's come to replace it. It just depends. Dressy Crooner says, I intend to read Douglas Stewart's new book, John of John. I checked your review of his last book to make sure I wasn't wasting my time trying to branch into contemporary stuff. John of John was very good. Code says, hey, Steve, what do you think of The Hunt for the Shadow of the Wolf by Derek Gow? He's a legend in the rewilding and conservation community in the UK. I've only read his Beaver book, which was good. I think I did read his Beaver book. I don't think I've read the Wolf one. Nelzy says, hi, Steve, do you like Bret Easton Ellis? Are there any of his books you would recommend? Greetings from Germany. Recommend? No. I was amused by Glamorama, but I wouldn't recommend it, and it would be incomprehensible unless you were born and lived in that era. It would be incomprehensible without footnotes. I'd recommend no. Dressy Crooner says, for my sins, I read The Wedding People by Alison Espach from a chick lit book club I just joined. The Things I Do to Meet Women. Oh, I wish I had an in-person book club. Sean Patrick says, Steve, what is your overall opinion of Dean Koontz as a writer? It's a little uneven, but when he isn't phoning it in, that hasn't happened in 20 years, but when he's actually paying serious attention, he can write a really good book. Watchers, Platform. These are good books. Balin says, how is your serial killer project going? I'm dodging it right now. Have you any wisdom about serial killers to share with us, except for never going inside a stranger's car? It's all of the serial killers that I am studying for all of July. Oddly enough, coincidentally enough, just considering your comment, each one of them has one victim that did get into the car and did survive. Each one of them has one of those. But it's coming along. I don't have any particular wisdom, no, except that I really wish that the material, that the histories were better. Dressy Crooner says, the snooty guy who wrote the Tennyson chapter for the old Dickens and Hardy volume of literary criticism is very dismissive of him. It made me sad given how much I learned to love him this year. Yeah, you got to watch out for that and Kipling. You got to watch out for the writer just coming in ready for bear. California says, what do you think of the late Robin Williams? Did you ever cross paths with the man in your many adventures? I never met the man, no. I'm obviously talented, but I never met him. Morgan says, I read your fantastic review on the biography about Hopkins and found it galvanized me further. I've become a little obsessed with not just his work, but the tragedy of his life. He's incredible. He is incredible. Street Medic says, can you tie a bow tie correctly? I can indeed. Glad that I will never have to do that again. Andrew Russell says, the Fred and Rose West story is truly stomach churning, tends to be over sensationalized. I've got a very high tolerance for having read their story. Can't say I got any great benefit from it. Hannah's Books is here. Traffic cone on sculpture. So sorry. Oh, right. Oh, okay. Okay. The traffic cones are all over the place. They were all over the place. Oh, and that was delightful. It was delightful. There's no aspect of the Scots visit that I didn't love. And that surprised me, and it surprised all the rest of Boston as well. Stephen Newton says, Bond, when I read the books, made me think of Richard Stark's Parker, whom I love. John O'Connell says, speaking of Philip Roth, what did you make of Claire Bloom's memoir, Leaving a Doll's House, about her relationship with him and memoirs that of that ilk? I liked Leaving a Doll's House a little. I mean, it was artless, flat-footed, but I liked it a little. I was hoping it would have more effect than it did. But I got what I wanted. He's being forgotten. Richard Fuller says, have you ever seen the YouTuber / classical music critic David Hurwitz? He is a very interesting person and is as prolific on YouTube as you are. I don't think I know that name. He does 5 videos a day. I don't think I know that name. Street Medic says, what's your favorite chess opening? God help us. That reading guy says, a couple of books I'd like to teach include The Wild, Our Town, Flowers for Algernon, Wizardverse Sea, The Book Thief, Last Unicorn, Kafka's Metamorphosis, The Hobbit. Good choices. The Hobbit is a little slow. Book Thief is too long. Kafka's Metamorphosis is perfect. Just perfect. The Last Unicorn, that would be tough. You'll be able to separate the real readers from the bored kids by that. It will strike a tone with a lot of people, but I think Flowers for Algernon, Our Town, definitely not. Definitely not unless you show it to them. If you show it to them, yeah, but otherwise, no. Kafka's a good choice. Richard Fuller says, I'm not sure if this has already been addressed, but when will there be another Friday Rights? Ooh, there should be. I keep skipping Friday Rights. I obviously must not have it in my soul, but there should be. Balin says, what was painful about the interview is that Vance was right. Watergate would be a forgettable scandal today. He was right, yeah. And look at the way he was right. Look at the way he was smiling. Look at the way he was saying it. He wasn't saying that the offense was slight. He was saying the Trump corruption is so great that no one would even notice it. And he got a round of applause. Coldifornia says, thanks for recommending Inferno, The Fire Destruction of Hamburg by Keith Lowe. Just finished it. Really corrects the stereotype of the Allied forces were the good guys. Balin says, what do you think of Edward Luttwak? It's a long answer. Too long for a live stream. Street Medic says, remember Land Shark from the first season of SNL? Yeah, I do. Must Read More says, Harlan County, USA is one of my favorite documentaries. It's free on YouTube as far as I know and worth a watch. That reading guy says, what are the odds of being attacked by a bear in the forest versus a shark in the ocean? The odds are much greater with a shark because they don't do anything but attack. Most bears don't want anything to do with you. They don't go anywhere near you. Sharks will attack you if they see you. Dressy Crooner says, today I spent valuable reading time watching Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders on Netflix. Forgive me, Father Donahue, for abandoning books to watch gorgeous cheerleaders. I thought you said you watched the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. So how could they have been gorgeous? Unless they have an alternate. They have an alternate squad with pecs, biceps. I don't know. Something about that message doesn't make sense. Andrew Russell says, have you any thoughts on James and G's Now Let Us Praise Famous Men? I read it years ago and remember it as a slog, but was thinking of rereading it. It is kind of a slog. Yeah. Hegasander says, have you decided on the Infinite Jest read-along? I'm not doing a read-along of Infinite Jest. J Art Studios says, how should I conclude June on the Range? Dark Tower series or Border trilogy? Tolstoy 111 says, the new Supergirl surpasses the Helen Slater masterpiece. Well, that's not a high bar. That was a terrible movie. And this is not. This is not at all. I don't get the reaction to it. Dressy Crooner says, been listening to lots of Perry Como recently. Were you a fan of his Irish Christmas special? No, that would be David Murphy. DZGIN says, does Blueberry Comics count for June on the Range? No idea what that means. Manny says, in what way would you say Le Morte d'Arthur is nuanced then? It's wonderfully powerful, but I don't get what you mean by nuance here. Well, it's nuanced for its own time. It's telling all sorts of racy, it's doing all sorts of very nuanced stuff for its own day. And nuances go. They change. So if you're just reading it raw and you don't know anything about Mallory's time or the expectations of the genre of, Courtly Nights or whatnot, you might not get it, and that's okay. That's okay. I just didn't want to. I don't agree myself that it's not a nuanced work. Uh, California says, "Did you ever enjoy the show at the movies with Siskel and Ebert?" Of course I did, especially when they had the dog. Street Medic says, "I have a ton of Scientific American magazines. My second favorite magazine is Omni, after Omni, and I have most of those too." Yeah, I got a lot of Omnis. I didn't keep them. I'm often curious to know what they would be like to revisit. So, they'll show up at the Brattle, and next time the batch shows up at the Brattle, I'll find out. Roberto Bolaño says, "Hello, Steve. Are you aware of any good biographies of Sam Rayburn? I recently read the LBJ biography, Architect of American Ambition, and was fascinated by Rayburn." There was a good biography of Rayburn, yeah. I think by a Texan author. I'm not going to remember any details because it's a live stream and I don't have any tech. So there's one at least that I know that was good, but I'm no use to. Jenny Jable says, "I did not finish Hard Rain Falling. I feel conflicted because people adore the book. Should I have stuck with it? No, you shouldn't stick with any book that you're not liking." Hega Sanders says, "I am active on Letterboxd, social media for film buffs that are on the side of Blue Sky, and they seem to dislike the film as well. I've read the critique that it was messy and convoluted. That critique is wrong." Roberto Bolaño is back. "Do you also have any favorite novels written by Mexican authors?" I'm always so terrible at this sort of thing. I'm sure that I have novels that I like by Mexican authors, but I'm terrible at. I'm sure that I do, but nothing's going to come to mind. No. Tolstoy 111 says, "I recently read Benjamin Disraeli's Sybil. Good Lord, is it dull?" Yes, I agree. Street Medic says, "I see some people comparing Trump to mob bosses. I don't think he would go a weekend without getting whacked." That depends. You can be doddering and incompetent and smelly and disliked, provided you've got good protection. Omar says, "Do you read dictionaries beyond their practical usage?" No. "I like Crabs and Charles John Smith's synonym discriminated as well as Barnhart's etymology. Only the latter is in print and affordable." No, I would never in a million years read any of that sort of thing. Frigier says, what do you think of Philip Meyer's novel, The Sun? Well, like most people, I liked it most of the way. then as the silly central plot starts to make itself more and more known, I liked it less and less. Hega Sanders says, "I've read The Economic Consequences of the Peace the other day, and I was a bit shaken as to its relevance. I need to reread it." California says, "Halfway through Fitzgerald's Iliad, can't believe how lively the action scenes are described." Yes, they are anatomy lessons all on their own. Julius Caesar says, "Thoughts on Count of Monte Cristo?" in a live stream. Thoughts on Count of Monte Cristo? I liked it. Kay Napolo says, "Richardson Reed's had a touching recollection of your friendship. The picture of you and Frida in Vermont was touching." I might have missed that, but we had fun times up in Vermont. Dressy Crooner says, "Are you familiar with Maria Comstock, Democratic influencer on Instagram? I've become a fan, but not for the politics." I'm not recognizing any names that anybody is giving me in here. Booktubers, plenty have been mentioned that I don't know. California is here. "Did you ever watch the sci-fi show Farscape?" Did I ever watch Farscape? Art thou mad? What the frell are you implying? I always thought it was really funny, albeit really bonkers. It was great. What are you talking about? It was great. Dressy Crooner says, "Steve, how can you have forgotten Dave Hurwitz, the wonderful bearded, bespectacled Jewish guy who does endless videos of classical music criticism?" It's not ringing a bell. And maybe I was just irritated by the implication or the flat out statement that he's as prolific on YouTube as I am. I find that hard to believe. Maybe it's true. Stephen Newton says, "Started 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Hope I finished this time." What is going on in this live stream? Why wouldn't you finish? You're going to get hit by a piano? California says, "I have 4 books left on my backlog, but after that, I'm determined to finally start Maul Flanders." Well, that reading guy is back. "Is it true sharks attack mindlessly? I thought they followed every boat and dwell every beach, which would mean a shark attack multiple times a day." No, they don't attack mindlessly. No. Some of them attack out of curiosity. So they bump or they bite out of curiosity. if it's a 15-foot shark and they bite you out of curiosity, you could easily die before you get help. Some of them are territorial, and some are just in a bad mood. Bull sharks can be in a bad mood. They're cruising along. They don't have any desire to eat you. They want to bite you. They want to savage you, rip you a little bit. Dressy Crooner says, I would have loved to talk to your sainted ma about the great Mario Lanza and other wonderful singers of the period. Well, she would have had plenty to say, but nothing more than about Mario Lanza. Oh my, that was her favorite. Balin says, have you been obsessed as me about the chimp war that is happening in Uganda? The smaller and more aggressive group is defeating the larger one. Must have happened often in human prehistory. Morbid. I have been watching it. Yeah, I've been watching updates when I can. It is morbidly fascinating. Dressy Crooner says, one of the standout performances in the Dev Patel Copperfield for me is Aneurin Bernard Steerforth. He is also the hot Richard III in White Queen BBC adaptation. Sorry, Steve. The California says, who is your favorite Muppet? Who is my favorite Muppet? I don't really know. I don't think I have a favorite. I don't think I do. I mean, of course, naturally, watching these videos every day, you'd think my favorite would be Statler and Waldorf, but I don't know that I have a favorite. Manny says, do you think the new Supergirl movie is on the same level as the new Superman movie? A surprising amount of people who liked Superman seem to think Supergirl was a step back. No, I thought they were very similar in terms of energy, bright sunlight, the outlook, good character development. They're very similar. I don't know that I would give the palm to either one, except Superman. I'm a bigger Superman fan than I am a Supergirl fan. Dressy Crooner says, over here, Keir Starmer is being defenestrated. For someone who is unlikely to make much positive difference, I find it deeply alarming how ungovernable the UK is becoming. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse, and it's going to get worse for the exact same reason that it happened here. Richard Fuller, oh, no, the chat jumped, but we do have to wrap this up. We do have to start wrapping this up. This has been so much fun, though. We were at Richard Fuller. Let's see here. Oh, God, help us. Where did I go? I don't know why the chat does this. I'm so sorry about this. I just have to hunt for people because the chat will not stay where I leave my cursor when it should. Richard Fuller, there we go. I picked up Nixon by Stephen Ambrose for $5 the other day. Is it worthwhile? Start a biography of the man? No, it's not. And it was egregiously overpriced. Tolstoy 111. Thoughts on Hamlet and King Lear? Keep it brief. Balin says, speaking of mob bosses, I recently watched The Sopranos. I thought it aged very well. Well, I'm not going to agree with you there. Dressy Crooner says, I think I remember you saying you regard Lady Macbeth as a weak point of Macbeth. Why so? No, she's not a weak point of Macbeth. It's just she's usually a weak point of performances of Macbeth. And it's understandable because it's so tempting to do her in hysterical primary colors. Morgan says, have you seen Timothy Oliphant give interviews, especially with Conan? It's insane how charming and funny he is, given the characters he's most known for playing. He's a charming and funny guy. That reading guy says, what are you reading tonight? Well, I'm going to read Season of the Hyena because I'm in an ancient Egypt kick, I guess I am. And also on this thing, or maybe on the iPad, I'm going to be continuing with T.S. Eliot, the collected prose of T.S. Eliot. I'll probably sink my way into that. Last night, I thought, do T.S. Eliot, do some short stories, do some ancient Egypt, and do a little bit of T.S. Eliot. And I lost myself in T.S. Eliot. Reading the pieces, chasing down the books, chasing down what anybody else has to say about the books. That'll be a lot of tonight, I'm guessing. Street Medic says, I hope the chimps have a Herodotus to document their war. Manny says, the only other English literature I've read from Mallory's time is Chaucer, so I probably don't have enough context. We're still talking about Le Morte d'Arthur. What additional context of literary knowledge would I need? That is not obviously something I can talk about in a live stream that is winding up, that's going a mile a minute. It's okay if you're not liking Le Morte d'Arthur as much as I do, then that's fine. But you're asking me to do What was the question? What additional historical and literary knowledge would I need to fully appreciate Le Morte d'Arthur in the context of the literature of Chaucer? In a live stream. It's not going to work. DM Tree says, "Hi Steve, what are your thoughts about Jack London's nonfiction writings?" Well, I like a lot of them. I mean, I have a big volume of him that I go to fairly regularly. Joe's Book and Movie Corner says, "Hi Steve, just tuning in. We're wrapping things up. You've mentioned that you don't like the new wave science fiction, but you like some new wave authors. Which authors do you like?" The usual suspects, the predictable suspects. That the writers like Samuel Delany, people like that, like John Brunner, that I love. I think they're fantastic. I don't like the attitude of new wave. I don't like the underlying attitude of defensive exclusionary nature. But I could list, ironically enough, despite the fact that I don't like the attitude, I can name a lot of authors that I like. So I kind of wish that Rocket Summer had a sister event, or that there was a much bigger science fiction event that encompassed Rocket Summer. Must Read More says, "There is a tree frog 5 feet from me croaking its head off. It's amazing how something so small can be so loud. He sat there and let me take a video too." Balin says, "You're outside?" Good Lord. Balin says, "I asked about Lutwak because I saw an interview with him where he proposed that the low birth rates in the West are because we don't go to war anymore. Have you met him?" It's a long, long story. I have lots of stories about him. But it sounds like something he would say. Coldifornia says, "Did you ever enjoy the 70s BBC TV plays? I know they were really low budget, but I thought they were some of the best adaptations of The Bard." You're talking about Jonathan Miller's Shakespeare runs, the best dramatizations of Shakespeare that have ever been done for the plastic media, not a live production. They're absolutely incredible, with only a couple of exceptions. Anthony Hopkins as Othello, who comes to mind. But other than that, they're incredible. Absolutely incredible. No, I love them. Absolutely love them. Wish I owned them all. I don't even have a machine to play them. But yeah, they are standout. Stephen Newton says, "I stopped when he spent page after page cataloging sea creatures." Don't know what that's about. Dressy Crooner says, "Thoughts on the UK House of Cards? I love Ian Richardson in that. Yeah, it's really good." Street Medic says, "Someone should make a Legion of Superheroes movie. I pray to all the gods there are that no one does that. I pray that they don't do that. I don't want that to happen. I'm begging that any gods that be, that not happen. The reboot that's coming up in the comics is bad enough." Coldifornia says, "I would figure your favorite Muppet would be Animal." Here, let's wrap this up here. Ja Reed says, "Hi Steve, first time catching a stream. What do you think about Louis Kesselberg from the Donner Party? Do you think he was guilty of murder and cannibalism?" Yeah. That reading guy says, "Are Lois Duncan's Killing Mr. Griffin and Barbara Hayworth's Attard's Theories of Relativity good books worth reading?" Well, I've only read the Duncan book, and it was, if I remember correctly, it was just standard YA. Ja Reed says, "What do you think of the last Greg Isles book? I was shocked to learn he passed away last year." Well, I know that I would have read it. I probably would have liked it. I don't think I've read anything by him I didn't like. I'm not calling it immediately to mind. Chris says, "Have you read The Master and Marguerite?" Okay. Well, we got a long way. We went almost 2 hours without a "have you read" question. Okay, and I haven't done a Stevestream in a long time, but I have to remember to be nice, right? I have read The Master and Margarita. Yes. As you can see by looking at me, I am roughly 900,000 years old. I have been reading nonstop that whole time. I didn't like it. It's my least favorite Russian masterpiece. Hugo says, "I have just gotten the part 7 of The Power Broker after months of reading it on and off. It's a behemoth, but absolutely worth the read. That reading guy says, take that back. Have you read? Question is off limits. It's too late. Cat's out of the bag. Street Medic says, I like to build a fire, but it's kind of dude bro. That reading guy says, deep breath, Steve, your bruised ego will survive. Dressy Critter says, Laurence Olivier in blackface as Othello shudders. Balin says, would you mind me sending an email asking about Lutwak? I'm very curious. No, I wouldn't mind. No, I wouldn't mind. I'm not sure that it's going to be very interesting to you. Stephen Newton says 20 Leagues Under the Sea. DM Tree says, do you have any manga? I think you'd love Billy Bat. I only have Crying Freeman and Death Note. That's it, just those two. Andrew Russell says, do you know if David is planning on sparking up his booktube channel again? Such a shame he nuked his efforts, as it was a real treasure trove for anyone wanting to read about World War II. I know. Nuking your channel, that is just, I mean, privating everything, sure. But nuking it, that is just bad. That is just a bad thing to do. But I have not heard any plans of restarting a booktube channel. I hope. Morgan says, have you seen 6 Feet Under? Yes, I have. Jareed says, Steve, I've heard you say that you find Tad Williams writing too slow for your liking in one of your older videos. You recently hauled the Dragonbone chair recently. Has your opinion on him changed? I keep thinking that I should like the Dragonbone chair more than I do. I keep thinking that. I don't know if that will, if I don't, usually that feeling comes to nothing, but I will give it another try, all the way to Green Angel Tower. Must Read More says, I'm outside. It's been raining like crazy all day, but it's dry on my back deck. Very little wind. That's where Sasquatch is. Balin says, the UK depresses me endlessly. Every time I go there, it gets worse, especially outside London. I wonder what you mean by that. I bet I can guess. John O'Connell says, what's your go-to meal in hot weather? Well, it's not going to get hot enough for me this upcoming week. Out of courtesy, I will not be making extensive use of the stovetop because I don't want to heat the place for Frida. But, rice, just rice and vegetables. I don't really have a go-to meal when I don't have company. I don't care about food enough to do that. Andrew Russell says, oh wait, here we go. That reading guy says, would Ursula Le Guin go over well with students? Yeah, I don't know how much of a visual component you are mixing in with your books. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know what your school says about that. I don't know how much of that you do. Ursula Le Guin, for instance, The Lathe of Heaven, has a very good adaptation. It will pull your students in. It will get them talking. And it's visual. It will be more appealing to them. Same thing with the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet. Let's see. Where are we going here? Morgan Mallow, is 6 Feet Under worth watching? Are you a big fan of it? I'm not a big fan of it, but it is worth watching. It's intelligent. Omar says, another have you read question. Sorry, one of my favorite novels is Henry Roth's Call It Sleep. Did you like his later novels, considering his writing arc is peculiar? Okay, but is that a have you read question? Are you asking me if I've read a Philip Roth book? I've not liked any of his books. Ja Reed says, Steve, have you watched Obsession? What did you think of it? I'm not remembering that name. That reading guy says, kids barely have the attention span for movies, let alone books. It's visual stimulation, though. They're used to seeing it on their phones. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I get the impression from you that this is just hopeless. That for your literature class with these students, you just hand out pills. So I don't know how far to go along those lines. Stephen Newton says, is Teddy Roosevelt in the Arena any good? I saw it on the new shelf at my library. It's good. Yeah. It's not great. It's good. Definitely don't miss Edmund Morris. His books on Theodore Roosevelt are incredible. That reading guy says, but the curriculum requires students read, so I must teach it. Well, Ursula Le Guin might work. Wizard of Earthsea is written for children. I assume you don't teach children. Maybe they're at that reading level, though. I have no idea. Auntie Gaia says, I pity Frida having to deal with all the racket of next Saturday night. She doesn't care. She will sleep right through it. Andrew Russell, you're responding to Andrew Russell. That reading guy says a bean watch before we go. Well, it's not much of a watch. She hasn't moved at all. She's just right there, just sound asleep. But anyway, I do have to go. This has been 2 hours. It's been a lot of fun, but I do have to go. So I'm sorry. We have to wrap this up. But I had a blast as usual. I had just a blast. So we'll have to do this again. But I'm gonna wrap things up for now. I will see you all in the funny papers. You got 2 hours of videos today. That ought to be enough. Thank you all for being here. This was so much fun. We'll do it again as soon as I get a chance. We'll do it again. But now I've got to get back to work and work all day tomorrow. But I will see you soon. I'll make videos tomorrow. Some anyway. Thank you, BookTube. This is a bean one.